Welcome back to SwitchCorner. It's time for our weekly breakdown of 10 games under $10 or of course your local currency. Now this week I do have something a little bit special for you. First of all, Forever Entertainment, they were kind enough to send me a couple of codes for Green Hell to give away to you all. So all you need to do to enter for a chance to win, drop a comment down below and the winners, they'll be announced on next Thursday's 10 under 10 deals episode. So with that luck, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family and let's get started. So first up on today's list, let's go big with Layers of Fear Legacy. We are fast approaching Halloween season, and this just might be the perfect pick for something that's got a bit of a bite to its horror. Here though, you'll be taking on the role of a madness engulfed painter who is out to create his masterpiece, but with each layer of paint comes new nightmares, from jump scares that got me a whole lot to a ton of suspense. I like this one because I think it balances that fine line between like cheap scares and then like genuinely scary in its tactics, and they both mount together perfectly. With strong visuals then as well and a truly intriguing storyline, this is well worth your cash with the current monster 80% off, which we actually haven't seen since last October. Being the Legacy Edition too, it's not just the base game but throws in the DLC too. Do not get this though if you do not like your horror. I'm going to give you that warning right now. This is not shy about getting those anxiety and fear levels up there. Okay, so let's lighten the mood now with something a little bit more relaxed. Felix the Reaper, and yes, you will be a Grim Reaper, so it's kind of like horror theme still. This one though is extremely light-hearted and it's got a whole lot of charm to it. It's even narrated by the legend that is Patrick Stewart. The story on this one, you are Felix, you work at the Ministry of Death, and you are basically in love with Betty the Maiden. She works at the Ministry of Life. Your goal, get to Betty and then impress her with your newly learnt sweet dance moves. What proceeds here is a puzzle game where you have to work in the shadows and basically manipulate the world to set a plan in action that ends up killing someone in this like grid-based puzzle game. It's all kind of very sweet honestly and in no way scary or anything else. It's actually got like a lot of heart to it. I'm a fan, I love the music too and the visual design, and then the animation is incredible, especially seeing Felix dance from square to square. Throw in then the like all-time new low at 90% off, and this is well worth a look if you like your puzzle games, especially if you like a twist on kind of the story they deliver. Alright, so Oceanhorn, Zelda fans, buy this. It's not perfect, but it is one of the better clones out there that struggles just a bit, I will say, to cave its own identity, but it is still a very good game. The reason I bring this up today though, Oceanhorn 2, it will be coming to the Nintendo Switch next week, so why not play, you know, the original release first, catch up with us all, and it's like a great price, honestly, 50% off. We do see this sale frequently, but the timing was too good to ignore. Here though, you'll wake up, you're going to find a letter from your father, he's gone, and the only thing that remains a notebook and a necklace. So yeah, get out there and find out what happened. Here, I'd say expect to set sail and go on a seriously fun journey of just like monsters, magic and dungeons, along with the occasional like puzzle for good measure. I'm a big fan of this one though, and you'll get a decent bang for your buck here, like gameplay wise. You're looking probably like around the 10-hour mark. You should also check out the soundtrack, actually it's pretty stunning. Great price though, as I say, look, Zelda fans, play this if you haven't already. Okay, so if you want something super stylized now, Pato Box, it's also got a huge dose of weird, which is always a good thing. If you ever played like Punch-Out and loved it, this may well be worth a look. It's presented in super sharp black and white visuals, and it's basically a boxing adventure where you set out on this like gangster-laced story and you're essentially trying to get revenge. I don't want to give too much away, so I'm going to leave it there. It is really fun though, it's for sure unique, and it even supports motion controls for the boxing, which I did find actually worked pretty well. I mean, or at least put it this way, I'm willing to sacrifice the accuracy for the entertainment value. If this isn't all weird enough already though, you do have a duck head as well. This one, the visuals are stunning. That black and white style really does work. The cast is unique. The controls simple but still extremely like challenging to master. And then the soundtrack, it's another winner, and you can check it out on Spotify. This one, it also got a physical release too, and I picked that up so I can confidently get behind this 70% off. Okay, so let's get back to a horrified now with Crawl. Crawl is a roguelike, but where it separates itself is the fact it has support for up to 4 players locally, and while I mostly played single player myself, my short time with the local play was for sure a blast. Here we get a visually like retro stylized dungeon crawler, which is also actually randomly generated. What makes this unique though, you're not always the hero. If you die, you'll like come back as a spirit, and you'll now have the option to possess the traps around this world or the monsters. You want to take down a hero so you can get back to your human human form. Watch a review or two on this one first. It's for sure unique, but it has a lot going for it, and the reviews, they're nearly all positive. And yeah, I mean, 67% off. This roguelite is for sure worth a look if you want a bit more of a unique twist on what is kind of like an overpopulated genre at this point. It's also, I gotta say, like generally badass. You get to inhabit over like 60 different playable monsters, and that is never a bad thing. They all control slightly differently as well, which I really appreciated. So my pickup of the week then, The Long Journey Home. This one I've always wanted to pick up, but I just kept on missing it, and to be honest, reviews are okay, but I was not feeling the price tag. I actually picked this up maybe like 3 weeks ago in the last sale, and honestly, I'm still yet to really play it, so I'm actually giving it a shout out here now because it's just dropped to an even lower 80% off. The idea here is you jump into a spaceship, you're doing a test jump, and of course this test jump, it like goes horribly wrong. Now, as the name suggests, we've got to find our way home. From what I know, it's basically jump from planet to planet and then go on like a collectathon for resources and anything else that, you know, may come your way. This one does indeed also include roguelike mechanics, and I would suggest here a few reviews as always. This is not necessarily a recommendation from me, but it's an adventure where I'm lost in space, so you can count me in giving it a go, and maybe you'll want to join me for that ride. It also seems to be a great price, honestly. If you've played it though, do let me know in the comments if it sucks or if I spent my cash wisely. So while I'm on sci-fi, let's talk about State of Mind. This is not a perfect game, but point and click fans or sci-fi fans, I think honestly this is well worth a look. It's basically an adventure experience where it's a whole lot of like walking and talking, but they've presented it in this like very unique, almost like old school visual style that ends up still feeling futuristic. These visuals, I will say, a little bit rough around the edges at times, and the controls, they can be a bit of a pain, but it's the story you're coming for, and by the end, I will say I found like the kind of charm in it all. This then also is a huge 90% off right now and a new all-time low. The general idea, it's basically set in Berlin, it's 2048, and the world, it's on the brink of collapse thanks to like a lack of resources, you know, war, crime. If it's a bad thing, it's basically happening. You are a journalist though, and you are investigating just a domestic drama, but it ends up evolving into a story about worldwide conspiracy. It's not a game I'd come to for gameplay as such, but story fans, pick this one up. You're going to get a solid 10 hours of gameplay out of this one. So while I'm on the idea of point and clicks, actually the entire Deponia Collection is on sale right now, and while we see this price point on the first entry at least pretty frequently, this is actually a new all-time low for the second, third and fourth installment. I'm going to flash the names and pricing up at the top of the screen for each, but we basically get Deponia, Chaos of Deponia, Goodbye Deponia, and then finally Deponia Doomsday. These are basically callbacks to the classics like Monkey Island, and while not as good, and few are, let's face it, it's still a lot of fun, and it nails the kind of like out there puzzles and sense of humour. Here you'll be following Rufus, so he lives on a world that's just overflowing with junk, and you want to elevate your social class and reach those that actually live in the sky above you. Of course, along the way though, you're going to fall for a girl, and so the adventure begins. She just happens to be part of this upper class. Big fan of these, especially the visual style, and at this price point you are getting all four for less than the price of one, which sounds absolutely fair to me. So Order's Blood now, in full transparency, haven't beaten this one, but I picked it up around launch and I've kind of been chipping away at it just randomly. I really like it, but it is also hard as nails, and I want to put that out there. There is a lot going on here, but I love the way the eShop opens the description. It's a little bit of XCOM, a little bit of Darkest Dungeon, and then a whole lot of Bloodborne. Anyone that would be interested at this point is already pulling out their credit cards. Now, while I don't think it quite reaches the status of any of those games I mentioned, I still think it's actually a fair comparison. This stunning Victorian-like world though has incredible hand-drawn visuals, and it's basically coming down to turn-based strategy, some stealth, and then of course expect a whole lot of inventory. What's interesting with this one for me, it's the fact that the characters, they are stamina based, and it's almost a juggling act style of, you know, challenge. Throw in then a ton of weapons to experiment with and a seriously creative cast of like monsters to battle against, and I really do like this one. I've been playing it in short bursts personally, it's been perfect for that, but I do think you could still go on like full on long sit-ins and still have a great time. Also 50% off, it's the first time it's ever dropped under $10, so I'd give this one a decent recommendation. So our penultimate game of the week then, and these last two are, I've got to say, heavy hitters, but first, Extermination Force. Mentioned this not long back to be honest, but I mean, at that point you can really consider me a fan. I even put it in the Gem series as well, but here we have a new all-time low as it's rocking 80% off. Here you're going to play as a soldier and you will be taking down towering mechs in a boss like rush style of gameplay. The key here is basically figure out the pattern of your enemy, figure out the weapons and upgrades, and then go to war. Frequently compared to Cuphead because of its like boss rush style and the fact it's 2D, I think it's actually a better comparison to think like Power Rangers meets like Shadow of the Colossus. Not a lot to it all really, but the dude behind this, he's a genius. He made this one, Gunman Clive, and then most recently the fantastic Super Punch Patrol, and most of these games he did solo, which is seriously impressive. So our final game of the week then, Observer, and this is a demanding game that they somehow got onto the Switch, and as far as ports go, it's pretty impressive. Now yes, the visuals, they can be a little rough at times around the edges, but it's still very easy to get lost in this seriously dark cyberpunk world, and this hasn't been on sale now in like 12 months. It starts off relatively routine, you know, a detective in Poland in 2084 is just kind of going about his day doing his usual thing, but quickly things fall apart and you'll be looking into shady organizations, hunting for your missing son, and then hacking the minds of those you interrogate. With clear influence, let's face it, from Blade Runner, it starts as a mystery adventure, but then slowly starts to reveal a whole like psychological horror backbone to it all. This even stars the legend that is Rutger Hauer in the title role, and yeah, this is a great price for a game we rarely see on sale, and right now it's offering 70% off. This one, a must buy in my opinion for sci-fi, horror, or even adventure fans who can handle something, you know, a little bit more grim. And that is it, another week down. Will you be adding anything to your collection this week, or is it like a, you know, keep the credit card away, save some cash kind of week? Remember as well, drop a comment down below for your chance to win one of 2 codes for Green Hell, thanks to the folks over at Forever Entertainment. A great survival game, well worth your time. With that then, like a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. If you do want to check that out for yourself, I have linked it in the video description down below. Then like hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.